right, so thank you all so much for joining me for a 60-minute yin class. With yin yoga, the idea is we're going to hold postures for longer periods of time, anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes. So whereas, if you hold a posture for like 30 seconds or a minute, you kind of want to push to your maximum. In yin yoga, you want to do like 70% of what you think you should be doing. You do a little bit less, but you hold it over a longer period of time. That also leads to a deep state of relaxation, and you're not just working into muscle tightness or joints, you also start to work into the connective tissue in your body, the tendons, ligaments, and fascia. So there's a lot of healing benefits to holding postures for a longer period of time. Just remember that you want to do like a little bit less than you would in like a power yoga class, right? Where you're only holding something for 30 minutes. For this class, you will want a blanket and a couple of pillows. And yeah, we won't use them till a little bit later, but you'll want a couple blankets, or a couple pillows, I should say, and a blanket. So there's that. And I will also just share before we get started, I, as a yoga teacher, always like vacillate between mentioning current events or not mentioning current events, because on the one hand, like I believe that part of yoga is social justice and right action and non-violence. And I also believe we all need a space where we can like step back from the world, and yoga is that for me. But I will say, for those of you that saw like the verdict for Derek Chauvin and George Floyd today, I am like feeling that in my body. And if you are too, that's okay. We can work through that. It's like one of the things that I love about yoga is when we feel stuff in our body, one of the most simple and useful ways to work through those emotions, that heaviness, whatever, tightness, whatever it is you're feeling, is to move the body. So in yoga, through intentional movement, intentional stillness, and intentional breath, we can kind of work through central nervous system responses that we might be having, whether it's to a current event or a personal event or something else going on in our life. So just keep that in mind as you practice, that things might feel different today than they did the last class, and this is true always. So we're going to start with a simple breathing exercise called 4-7-8 breathing. You'll inhale through your nose for a count of 4, hold the inhale for 7, and then slowly exhale through your mouth for a count of 8. Again, this is a really great breathing exercise to do anytime you're feeling like a little bit activated or in a reactive state. 4-7-8 breathing brings a lot of oxygen into your body. And then by exhaling much slower than you inhale, you tell your central nervous system that there's no need to fight, flight, or freeze. It might take a couple of rounds of 4-7-8 breathing to figure out, how fast should I be inhaling versus how slow should I be exhaling. If after a couple rounds of breath, you're still having trouble catching your breath, you can switch up the ratio. So maybe it's like an inhale for 2, hold for 3.5 seconds, and then exhale for 4. The idea is just that you inhale fairly quickly, hold that breath, and then exhale for twice as long as you inhale. And again, it's the exhaling for a long time that helps to take us into a more relaxed, calm state. So I'll walk us through a few rounds of 4-7-8 breathing, and then we'll have a minute just to do it on our own. You're going to find yourself in a comfortable seated position, whatever that is, sit up nice and tall. You're welcome to close your eyes or do a soft fuzzy gaze just beyond the tip of your nose. Relax your shoulders and your chest. Seal your lips. Place your tongue on the roof of your mouth, just behind your teeth at your palate. Exhale completely. And begin. Inhale to your nose for 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold the inhale breath for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Slowly exhale through your mouth for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Inhale through your nose. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold the inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exhale through your mouth for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Breathe in through the nose for a count of 4. Hold the breath for a count of 7. Keep your shoulders soft and your chest proud, just letting the air circulate in your body. And then slowly exhale through your mouth for a count of 8. Inhale for 4. Pause for 7. Slowly exhale for 8. Breathe in for 4. Feel your ribs expand with the breath in. Hold for 7. Keep your shoulders and jaw relaxed. Exhale for 8 through the mouth. Feel your ribs gently contract with the breath out. We'll do 1 more minute of 4, 7, 8 breathing on your own count. Let's do 1 more full round of 4, 7, 8 breathing. Whenever you're ready, just return your breath to normal, in and out through your nose. If at any point in class you find that your breath is getting away from you or your mind is starting to wander, you're tensing up, you're just going to return your thoughts to your breath as you breathe slowly in and out. Okay, we're going to start in another comforting, soothing, calming posture called Child's Pose. So for Child's Pose, you're going to come on to your shins. You can do a couple different variations here. You can have your knees and feet together, or for a wide-legged Child's Pose, you can open your knees. And you're going to start to sink your hips down towards your heels and reach your arms forward so the forehead is to the floor. You are welcome if having your arms forward doesn't feel right for your body. You're welcome to have your arms down by your side. And you can also play around with using props here. This posture is great for working through the toes, ankles, shins, knees, and hips. However, if sinking your hips down like this is a little bit too intense on the lower body, you have, let's say, tight toes, you could roll up your mat or put a small blanket under your toes or under your knees so there's padding there. You could always place a blanket in between your thighs and your calf so there's padding there. You're also welcome to place pillows under your chest or even under your head so there's a little extra padding there. We're going to hold here for 5 minutes and we're already a minute through. I'll tell us when we're about halfway through. And at that point, if you want to switch up what you're doing, like for example, if your arms are forward, if you want to bring your arms down by your side, you can do that. So there's, 3 simple rules to Yin Yoga. The first rule is like you make a shape with your body. The second is you hold the shape. And the third is you breathe. It's pretty simple. Make a shape, hold a shape, breathe. However, if at a certain point the shape that you're making is really uncomfortable, it's not working for you, you are welcome to do something else. We're trying to find a sweet spot where we're holding postures with stillness, with breath in and out through the nose. But if something isn't working for you, please feel free to switch it up either by taking a break, grabbing a prop, or trying a different variation.
Start to discern the difference between moving because you're uncomfortable and you need to move versus moving because you're just uncomfortable sitting still. We're practicing stillness here. And for me, that's, gosh, the hardest part of this class is just finding a little bit of stillness and a little bit of breath. It helps to remember that it is a practice. So you don't have to be good at stillness to practice yoga. You don't have to be good at yoga to practice yoga, right? You just have to have a willingness to try. So again, if you're finding it hard to be still, or you're finding it hard to sit in child's pose for this long, just think of it as practice, right? It doesn't have to be perfect, doesn't have to look like my posture looks. My posture doesn't have to look how your posture looks. We're just finding a place where we can hold and breathe in and out through the nose. We're about halfway through the posture. If what you're doing is not working for you, remember that you can grab a prop, a pillow, or a blanket, placing it under your shins, your knees, or toes, between your thighs and calves. You can place a blanket or prop under your chest or head. And again, if having the arms forward is a little too intense on the shoulders, you can also bring the arms back. And you just want to find a place where you're feeling a nice stretch, but never a point of pain. Doing about 70% of what you think you should be doing. So this posture, this child's pose, is really anchoring, rooting posture, right? You're feeling yourself firmly anchored, rooted into the floor. It's a calming, soothing posture. The hips are a little higher than the head, so you have some extra blood flow to the head, right? It's good for giving you some energy while at the same time calming you. And on a physical level, and you're opening through the hips, the inner thighs, the knees, the shins, the ankles, and toes. Anytime I'm feeling like a little bit ungrounded, especially if I don't have time to take like a full yoga class, I'll just do like a 3 or 5 minute version of child's pose. It's just a wonderful way to kind of anchor you into your body, into your breath, into the present moment. We'll hold here for 1 minute longer. In the final few moments of this posture, notice where you might be holding on to some tension and see if you can just really melt into the floor, melt into the posture, melt into your breath, just letting everything go so you relax a little bit deeper at the end. Take a slow inhale through your nose, feel the backs of your ribs expand. Slow exhale through your nose, let your shoulders and chest fall. As you're ready, we're going to slowly come out. You can start by looking forward, maybe walk your hands in, back towards your knees. Slowly press yourself back up. There's no rush as you release out of the posture. If you come into a sitting position, you might feel all the blood that was going towards your brain now coming back down. And we're going to slowly turn around and find our way into a Savasana or Puddle Pose. So there's no rush going in or out of these long held postures. So again, in the child's pose, especially a long held one, the hips are a little higher than the head. So you get a nice rush of blood towards the brain. And then when you release out of the posture into a neutral lying down position, you might feel a little bit lightheaded, or you might feel that blood that was in the brain start to go like down into the lower body. So as you release out, as you lie on your back, you might feel a rush of blood in your hips and your toes.
So in some styles of yoga, we would call lying on our back like this Savasana or corpse pose, and it's pretty exact, like you have the arms and legs close together. In Yin Yoga, we call this puddle pose, and the idea is you can act like a puddle, right? So you can bring your arms and legs out as much as feels good for you. If lying on your back hurts your lower back, couple options. You can take a small pillow or blanket and place it under your lower back for support, or you can bend your legs so that your feet are on the floor and your knees rest together, and that'll take some pressure off of the lumbar spine as well. And of course, if lying on your back really doesn't feel good, you can always lie on your side or on your abdomen. And later on in class, when we do lie on our abdomen, if lying on your stomach doesn't feel good, right, you can lie on your back or side as well. And the idea is in between these long held postures, we're going to come into a lying down neutral position. And this just helps the body to realign. It allows for blood flow to recirculate through the body. In these long held yoga postures, not only are we, working into muscle, into joints, into connective tissue, but often, right, we're kind of stretching one part of the body and compressing another part of the body. And by extension, that usually means one part of the body loses a little bit of circulation, not to the point where like you would pass out, right? But it loses a little bit of circulation. So then when we come back into this neutral state, you might feel a rush of blood to that area. Again, it might be like the toes or the ankles. Next, we're going to do a fan favorite banana pose, Bananasana. Picture in your mind's eye your favorite banana. It can be green, it can be bruised and brown, it can be perfectly yellow ripe, it could be Chiquita, Dole, Fair Trade, Trader Joe's, Costco, whatever it is. Picturing that C curved shape of the banana, and we're going to make that shape with our body. So bring your legs down if they were bent, feet close together. You can bring your arms overhead and take a moment here just stretching up and down like a pencil, and this is just a nice way to stretch. Okay, and from here, you're going to start to move your hands and your feet to the right side of your space so that the left side body stretches and the right side body gently compresses. So from a bird's eye view, you would look like a banana. Couple options, you can cross one foot on top of the other, you can cross one hand on top of the other, or you can keep feet and or hands side by side. You're welcome to lie with the back of your head on the floor, or if you'd like, you can roll your right ear down towards the floor so you look over to the right. And we're going to hold here for 3 minutes. We're already a minute in. Now, right away, if something is not feeling right for your body, let's say you feel too much of a stretch on the left side body, you can bring your hands and feet closer to the center line of your mat space. If you feel no stretch at all, you can bring your hands and feet further to the right side of the room. Just remember, you want to do about like 70% of what you think you should be doing. Again, this is a great way to kind of wake up the back. Your back is curving here. And the spine moves in 6 different directions, right, left, backward, forward, twisting to each side. You will do all of those multiple times. So this is moving the spine to one side, again, extension to left side body, compression to right side body. And especially if you have the left foot crossed on top of the right foot, you might feel a subtle IT band stretch in the outer left thigh and the hip as well. Again, you want a nice stretch here, but never a point of pain. We'll hold here for 1 more minute in stillness and breath. In and out through the nose. In the final few moments, notice where you might still be holding tension. And just see if you can melt into the floor.
Melt into the posture, melt into your breath, just letting go of any resistance. I'm always surprised at where I find a little bit extra tension lingering. I'm like, my pinky finger, really? That's so weird. Take a slow inhale through your nose, feel your chest rise. Slow exhale through your nose, let your shoulders soften. There's no rush. We're going to slowly, carefully come out of the posture. If you're looking to the right, roll your head back to center. If your hands or feet are crossed, uncross. Take your time, slowly bringing your arms and legs back to the center line of your body. And then as you're ready, you can return your arms down, legs down, puddle pose. In between postures, right, we're going to find some stillness in our puddle pose, but you're always welcome to like wiggle out or do a counter stretch or a movement that feels good to you. So again, in these long held postures, you're going to come out of them slowly. And then if you feel the need to like roll out your shoulders or do a quick spine twist or like grab your knees or whatever it is, feel free to do that movement that is calling to you. And then hop into your stillness, your restorative puddle pose or Savasana. Okay, let's do the other side of our banana pose. Bring your feet close together, arms overhead. And again, you can take a moment to really stretch up and down, lengthening the body. Maybe flex your toes back for a second, stretching your calves. Feels nice, like a nice yawn. And then start to bring your hands and feet to the left side of your mat. So now the right side body is stretching and the left side body is gently compressing. For the sake of some semblance of congruity, you know, if you cross your left foot on top of your right foot on the other side, maybe you want to cross your right foot on top of the left foot on this side. You can have your head flat on the floor, or you can roll your left ear down towards the floor, looking over the left shoulder. And this side might feel a little or a lot different, right? You might have like a knee or a hip or a shoulder thing. You might know what that is, or you might not be realizing until just now, like, oh, wow, I'm a lot tighter or looser on this side. Yoga is not about becoming congruent. It's not about symmetry per se. It's really about just realizing what's going on, getting in touch with yourself, your physical self, but also your like psychological, emotional, spiritual self. So I've been saying recently, there's, to my knowledge at least, there's like the ancient Vedic texts don't mention like symmetry as the goal of yoga. What they mention is like self-realization, God realization, and like part of self-realization is the realization that my right knee is tighter than my left knee today, right? So when we notice like, ooh, the shoulder is tighter than the other one, yoga gives us an opportunity to work into that tightness, but it also gives us an opportunity to be okay with the fact that like one hip might always be tighter than the other. You know, we are certainly practicing in the vein of self-realization, self-acceptance, right? Self-actualization, self-love. Got about a minute left. You're welcome to stay just as you are, or something, you know, if you're not feeling anything, maybe bring your hands and feet further to the left side of the room. If you're feeling like way too much, right, you can hold still or bring your hands and feet closer back to the center line of your body. And again, just check in where you might be carrying some tension. Maybe your abdomen or your chest or your shoulders. See if you can let your hands and feet get a little heavier. Just really allowing the floor to hold you up. Once you've covered those like kind of obvious areas of where tension might lie, like your neck or your shoulders, also notice like, are you carrying tension in the soles of your feet, right? In your hands, in your ears. See if you can really scan the body, and in the final few moments, melting into the posture, melting into the floor, melting into your breath. Let the floor hold you up. Take a slow inhale through your nose. And a slow exhale through your nose. There's no rush. We're going to slowly come out of the posture. If you're looking to the left, roll your head back to center. If you have your hands or feet crossed, uncross. And then take your time slowly coming back to the center of your mat space. And you can roll out or make any motions that feel good. And then you're going to go back to your puddle pose or Savasana as you breathe in and out through your nose. So as we go deeper into our yoga practice and further along in this class, all experiences are valid. Sometimes we're a little frenzied and it's hard to stay in our body. But this is an invitation just to stay in your body, to stay in your breath, and really start to trust your experience, like your lived experience in your body, right? Really trusting what it is you're feeling, where and how you're feeling. And we're just using the postures in service to that. So never going to a point of pain, right? You're not trying to prove something to yourself or to others. You're just using the postures and your breath as a tool, right? For that self-love, that self-realization. As you're ready, you're going to bend your legs so your feet are on the floor. You can roll off to one side, take your time. And then keep rolling onto your abdomen. We're going to do a Sphinx pose here, and I'm going to give a lower body optional variation as well. So for Sphinx pose, now think of your favorite Sphinx. It can be the Sphinx in Egypt, the Sphinx in Las Vegas, the Sphinx in Harry Potter book 4 in ancient mythology. And when you think of this Sphinx, right, I'm going to show you from the front. The idea is that their chest is always proud and the forearms are on the floor. So it'll look like this from the front. Notice if your shoulders creep up into your ears. That's the hardest part for me. You're always going to try and roll the shoulders back. So there is some activation in the arms, whereas some postures were like completely relaxed. In this one, you really have to actively push the forearms down. Notice if the hands, the wrists are kind of like turning in or out. Try to keep wrists, elbows, and shoulders in line. And then go back to the side. Eventually, I shouldn't say eventually, for some people, you can have the elbows under your shoulders. This can be a little bit much though. You're welcome to have your arms forward. And you can also always place a towel or a pillow like under your chest or even under your abdomen. If you have like stomach pain and it hurts to be on your stomach, you can actually place a pillow under your thighs so that your stomach relaxes down. And then your stomach can hang out. It's also good for pregnant folks. Again, there's like lots of really fun, creative ways to use like simple household props like towels and pillows to help you feel a place where you feel a stretch through the chest and a compression to the back, but never a point of pain. Now, option to stay here or do a hip component where you're going to start to tuck your toes under at first, bend your knees out to the side and bring your heels in so the soles of your feet touch. Now you'll notice my feet are way off the floor and yours might be as well. You are welcome to place pillows or a pillow underneath your feet so that there's something for them to hang on to. And now it becomes a gentle hip opener as well. We're going to hold here for 2 more minutes. To get a deeper hip stretch, you would bring your knees further out and your heels closer in towards your groin, or if it's too much, you can bring your legs further back so the knees barely bend. And if this motion just is not good for your hips, keep your legs long behind you.
We often do a version of this lower back posture on the lower body hip posture lying on our back. So this is a little different. We'll now feel the hips rotating in a little bit of a different way. In this Sphinx pose, the upper body, again, we're stretching the fascia on the chest. We're doing a healing compression to the lower back through right through this back bend. And again, the thing to keep in mind is if the shoulders are starting to tense up, press the floor away from you, drop the shoulders down. Maybe even think about squeezing shoulders together a bit. We're going to hold here for 1 more minute as you breathe through the nose. Notice where you might be holding on to tension in your body that is not in service to the posture. Relax through your forehead, your jaw, your abdomen and pelvic floor. Relax through your feet, your hips, your thighs, your knees, all the way down to your toes. Letting everything soften. In the last few moments, just melting into the floor, melting into your breath, breathing into the body. Take a slow inhale through your nose. And a slow exhale through your nose. There's no rush. We're going to slowly come out of this one. You can start to lengthen your legs back and maybe kick your pillow aside. And then as you're ready, that wasn't very graceful. And then as you're ready, you're just going to slowly lower your upper body down. You're welcome to bend your elbows out to the side or have your arms down by your side. You're welcome to look to the left with your right ear on your mat, or you can have your head down. You can always put like a pillow or a blanket under your head as well. So now we're kind of in puddle pose, but on our abdomen. And if lying on your stomach like this does not feel good, you are welcome to lie on your side or on your back. Otherwise, some deep belly breaths in and out through your nose to massage the front of your body. Breathe deep into any point of tension. Let the floor hold you up. If you're looking over one shoulder, gently lift your head and look to the other side. And if it aggravates your neck and shoulder to look right and left, having the elbows bent so that the hands are close to the face will take some pressure away from the neck and shoulders. If you're ready, bring your head forward, so chin forward, place your hands on the floor, and slowly press yourself up. Next, we're going to do a hip opener, and I'm going to give us 3 different options. The first, in Yin Yoga, we call Pigeon Pose. In other styles, in Yin Yoga, we call it Swan Pose. And in other styles of yoga, it's often called Pigeon Pose. I would take a swan over a pigeon every day, but maybe that's I don't know, some weird prejudice that I have against pigeons. Maybe I shouldn't be saying that. So again, I'm going to give you 3 variations. The first is our Swan Pose. You're going to have your hands on the floor and start to bring your right knee towards your right wrist. And as you're ready, you're going to bring your right foot a little to the left. Okay, from here, you're going to start to lengthen the left leg back behind you. So one day the left hip drops down. Right away, your hip might not touch the floor. That is quite normal. You can place blankets or pillows under that left hip, so there's support there. You're gonna look back behind you. Notice if your left foot is like way to the left or way to the right. Try to get your left ankle, knee, and hip all in line, running parallel to your mat space. So this is option one. You're welcome to have your hands on the floor or fingers tented onto the floor, doing a nice proud swan, or you can fold forward. And you're always, again, welcome to place some blankets or pillows under your chest or head. This is option one for your swan pose. If this shape does not work for your body, we have the same stretch, just from different ways. You can come out of the posture and take a figure four pose. I'll show you two different versions of figure four. The first is to sit on your butt with your feet behind you and your knees bent, your hands behind you and your knees bent, feet in front of you. From here, keep your left foot on the floor. Take your right foot off the floor. Take your right ankle shin to your left knee thigh. So right knee comes out to the right, and now you're making a four shape with your legs. This is option two. Option three is to do it on your back. You lie down on your back, and if it feels good, you even lift your left foot off the floor and hug your thighs in. So there's three different options. I'll get in you the same stretch to the outer right seat, right thigh, and it's also a nice sciatic nerve stretch. So if you ever have sciatic pain or you know someone with sciatica, this is their posture. We're going to hold here for 4 minutes, and we're already 2 minutes into it. If what you're doing right now, like if you've been swan pose this whole time and you're like, you know what, this doesn't feel right, feel free to switch to a figure four. Maybe you've been doing figure four seated on your butt. Now you want to lie down on your back and do it. That's fine. Or you can hold right where you are. Or again, grab a prop, like something to place under your hip or under your chest. Notice where you might be holding on to some tension, right? See if you can let it go. Just relaxing the body. Whereas in more active styles of yoga, we're often contracting muscles to get into postures. In Yin Yoga, the idea is you're relaxing muscles to get into posture. So notice where you're holding on to tension. Just see if you can let it go just a little bit more as you breathe through the nose. In the last minute of the posture, again, just noticing maybe where are the unexpected spots where you might be holding on to tension, or you might notice that your mind has wandered somewhere unexpected. You're just going to use your breath to gently guide your mind back into your body. And you're going to use your breath to gently soothe the body. So slowly over time, the body and the breath soothe the mind rather than the other way around. As beginners, we're often trying to use our brain to tell our body to be still or to calm down. But eventually we flip that script. The body is still. When the body is still, the body tells the mind that it's safe to be still as well. Take a slow inhale through your nose. And a slow exhale through your nose. There's no rush to come out. If you're in figure four, if you're on your back, you're going to return your left foot to the floor. Either version of figure four, you're going to uncross your legs. If you're in swan pose, place your hands on the floor, slowly, carefully press yourself back up. There's no rush. And you can do any sort of motion that feels good to your body, any sort of counter stretch. And then you can turn and lie either on your abdomen, your back, or your side. I'm going to lie down on my abdomen. And as you release out of that posture, you might feel a rush of blood to the hip socket. Another thing I should mention is that we all experience these postures differently, not just body to body, but like day to day and class to class, breath to breath. So in general, right, that posture is working the hip, the seat, the side seat, the outer thigh,
But you might feel it somewhere entirely different, and that's valid too. So if at any point in class I'm talking about, oh yeah, you'll feel a stretch in your ankle, but you're like, I don't feel a stretch in my ankle, you're not doing anything wrong, right? It's just we all experience these postures a little bit different. If you're lying on your stomach and you're looking to one side, gently lift your head and look to the other side. If you are on your back, you're gonna bend your legs, roll off to one side and push yourself up. If you're on your stomach, you're gonna look forward, put your hands on the floor and push yourself up. And in between sets of or sides of Swan Pose, we're just gonna do a nice forward fold. So take your time slowly coming onto your butt with your legs long in front of you. Okay. You can take a moment here and kind of like bend your knees, walk out the legs. You can windshield wiper your legs back and forth, and then make your legs nice and long, but also relaxed. So you're not like flexing your feet back or anything, right? You're just going to soften through the quadricep muscles, the hamstrings. You can like stick your butt out a little bit, walk your feet back. And from here, you're just going to slowly start to fold forward. You're welcome to keep your hands on the floor on either sides of your thighs, your knees, your calves. You can fold all the way forward. You are welcome to place blankets or pillows in between your thighs and your abdomen. And if folding forward with a rounded back is like tugging or pulling on your back and not in a pleasant way, you can firmly press your palms into the floor so that your back stays flat and you're hinging at your hips. Keeping the spine straight is a nice option for anyone who like has an achy back or has a history of slip disc. Rounding forward can be like put a little bit too much pressure on the back. So again, you can stay light and lifted or just let your body melt and relax into the floor. And we're gonna hold here for 2 more minutes. Especially, you know, in Sphinx Pose, and then especially if you did the Swan Pose with me where you were upright, that can put some tension into the neck and shoulders. So here we're just really letting the shoulders hang out, the neck hang out, right? Whether it's long or not doesn't matter, but the idea is you're not, you know, you're just letting the shoulders soften, the neck lengthen. And then see if you can let your hamstrings relax a little bit more again, rather than like contracting muscles to stretch into the posture, we're just loosening the body. In the final minute of class, we just want to relax just a little bit more. Maybe letting go or giving in. And this is a nice area to practice, you know, if you're a fighter or if you hold on to something for a long period of time, just practicing letting go of the body, like letting go of the muscle contraction, letting go of the need to like push yourself. Practicing that in yoga has real world applications and implications as well. So this is just a nice space where we're safe to kind of let go and be exactly as we are, not forcing or fighting, just breathing. Take a slow inhale through your nose and a slow exhale through your nose. There's no rush. If you're ready, you can gently walk your hands back towards your hips. You can roll or unfold. Do any counter stretches that feel good. Okay, and then you're going to come back into your puddle pose. I'm going to do mine on my back. You can do yours on your side or on your abdomen. And we're just enjoying some stillness and some breath. Okay, as you're ready, if you're on your abdomen, you're going to look forward, put your hands on the floor and press up. If you're on your back, you're going to bend your knees. You roll off to one side, take your time. You're ready, slowly push yourself up. And we're all going to meet back in our tabletop position for the other side of swan or figure four. So this time from here, start to bring your left knee towards your left wrist. Bring the left foot a little to the right. And then as you're ready, you're going to lengthen the right leg back behind you. This side might feel a little or a lot different. It does for me. You are welcome to place a pillow or blanket under your right hip. You are welcome to take figure four, either seated on your butt or on your back. If you do stay in swan, you can keep your hands on the floor or even fingertips tinted for a nice gentle back bend, or you can fold all the way forward. And again, lots of folks report feeling this in the side seat, in the hip, and in the sciatic nerve. But you might feel it somewhere else, or you might feel like one of those things, but not all of those things. And that doesn't mean that you're doing it wrong. If anything, it's a good sign, right? That you like trust what your body is telling you. I think sometimes like when we hear a yoga teacher be like, you will feel this in your chest. You're like, oh, of course. But over time, right, you might realize, you know what, I actually don't feel it there. I feel it somewhere else. And that's something to be celebrated because it means that you're really listening to yourself and trusting what it is that like you're hearing, right? You're open to receiving that information from your body through your breath. Got about 2 minutes left. If what you're doing is not working for you, feel free to grab a prop, adjust your body, or take a different variation of figure four or swan pose. In the last minute, notice where you might be holding on to tension. Just letting it go through the breath, staying with your body, staying with your breath. Take an inhale through your nose. Easy exhale. There's no rush. You're going to slowly come out of the posture, however feels right for you. Take your time. Feel free to make any counter stretches that feel good. And then turn, lie on your back and for puddle pose. Just letting everything stretch out and realign. And let the floor hold you up. Okay, we're gonna do a spine twist here. Bring your arms out to the side. You can have them long out to the side or bent, cactus, like goalposts. From here, you are going to keep your left leg long. Bend your right leg, so right foot on the floor, right knee to the ceiling. And from here, you're gonna roll to the left. So your right hip stacks on top of left hip. You are welcome to place a pillow, pillows, or blankets under your knee, or just slowly allow gravity to bring your right knee closer to the floor. So right hip stacks on top of left hip. Try to keep your right shoulder on the floor. You can keep the right leg bent, or for an IT band stretch, you can pick the right leg out to the right. And we're just gonna hold here for 1 minute for the sake of time. So I've, after our spine twist, I have one more posture up my sleeve that I think we should all partake in. So these spine twists are good not just for twisting the spine, but also for twisting the abdomen. Spine twists are great shoulder and chest openers, right? Your chest is proud towards the ceiling. And with the abdominal twist that's happening here, it's good for digestion, right? So if you have a stomach ache, doing some spine twists are actually a really good way, not just to reset your back, but to reset your digestive tract as well. Notice where you might be holding on to tension. See if you can just let it go. So you're truly melting into the posture. Take a slow inhale through your nose. Slow exhale through your nose. If your right leg is kicked out to the left, bend your right knee again. And then you're going to slowly, carefully roll your right hip down. We're going to go to the other side, straighten your right leg, bend your left leg so your left foot is on the floor, and then roll off to your right. So left hip stacks on top of right hip. And again, this side might feel different. You are welcome to place a blanket or pillow under your knee or foot. You can keep the left leg bent or kick it out to the right for an IT band stretch. Try to keep your left shoulder on the floor. Notice where you're holding on or fighting or forcing. Just let go and breathe. Be still. Take an inhale through your nose. And then exhale through your nose. There's no rush. If your left leg is straight, you're going to bend the left leg and then slowly roll your left sit bone back down, arms and legs down. Puddle pose. Roll out your body and then just find some stillness. Okay, and our last posture of the day is going to be a subtle, gentle back bend, and we'll actually use it as our final Savasana as well. This is a posture where you're going to want some props, so take your time finding a few pillows. I'm going to slowly push myself up, and I'm going to show you, I think you guys have all done this posture with me before, but the basic idea is you want to place some pillows under your back, and then you probably want to place a pillow under your head as well. So let me show you, and depending on your flexibility and your body proportions, you can play around with like one pillow, a pillow and a blanket, 2 pillows, right? And we're going to take a minute or two to like find what works for us. And also keep in mind that what worked for you the last time you did this back bend might not work for you today. So that's okay too. Once you've placed some pillows, again, I'm going to have the part under my back, the pillows are higher, and then the part under my head, the pillows are a little bit lower. The idea is my head's not just going to be like hanging off, right? There's support for the head too. And if you'd like, you can grab a blanket to place over your body as well. From here, you're going to sit with your butt like right on the edge, so your butt's still on the floor, but you're right up next to those pillows. And then you're just going to lay back and take your time kind of adjusting, figuring out a way that feels good for you. Make sure that your head is supported so that your neck isn't just like totally back. And then again, if you'd like, you can place a blanket over your body, especially in back bends. Sometimes you might feel like a temperature change. So I like to have a blanket over me because sometimes, you know, in these heart openers, the central nervous system can get a little bit stimulated, and then you might find that you're a little cold or a little hot. I usually get a little cold, so I'm just going to place a blanket over me to kind of regulate temperature. And then we're just going to hang out here for 5 minutes. How great is that? And right away, if what you're doing, if you need to like make extra support under your head or, you know, remove a pillow from under your back or whatever it is, feel free. The basic idea here is, again, using props, using the floor. We're gently opening through the heart space, the shoulders, we're stretching the fascia on the chest, and we're healing the spine through like gentle compression to the back. But this does not have to be like a life-shattering, super intense back bend. It's subtle, right? And again, because we're holding for so long, subtlety actually works in our favor. A little bit goes a long way when you hold for a long period of time. Once you've found what works for your body, you're just going to settle into your stillness as you breathe through your nose. Notice where you're holding on to tension. Just let it go through your exhale breath. Let your hands and feet and head be heavy. Just letting the pillows, the floor hold you up. Letting the blanket hold you in, right? As I mentioned at the beginning of class, like when I heard the like guilty verdict for Derek Chauvin, I like really felt it in my body. And I thought that I would feel like happy. And instead I just felt like really bummed and really sad. I mean, I'm glad that like there was an instance of justice, but I was like, oh, gosh, like I wish none of this had to happen. And I wish it wasn't so surprising that he was found guilty. And it, obviously I am a white, able-bodied, like female, right? Or at least I present that way. I can't imagine what that felt like for people who knew George Floyd or who see themselves or their family or their friends in him. And yet I still felt it in my body. And this reminded me of, to me, one of the most powerful things about yoga is that through yoga, we gain, in my opinion, compassion and empathy. Because as we start to become more compassionate and empathetic towards ourselves, like when we really give ourselves an opportunity to listen to ourselves, naturally that starts to expand to other people. And the other thing I kept thinking was like with this unexpected, I thought I was going to feel one way and I didn't. We often can't really process something until after it's happened. This is true in yoga postures. Often you might find that coming out of the posture is more intense than the posture itself. And I actually believe that this is true of COVID in general. The first time that you hug that family member, you might feel different than you thought you would feel because it's really hitting you, right? And again, what I said at the beginning of class is when you feel things in your body, moving your body is such a simple way to get out of the fight, flight, or freeze response, to move your body to process whatever it is that you're feeling. So through yoga, right, through intentional stillness, intentional movement, and intentional breath, we can calm ourselves and really process what it is that's going on. And you might not have time for a full class every day, but even just like, if you're feeling really ungrounded, like a long held child's pose, like we did at the beginning of class, something like that, simple breathing exercise, like 4-7-8 breathing that we did at the beginning of class. These are all really wonderful ways to kind of get out of, your head, out of your central nervous system response, and like back into your body. And this is a wonderful gift that you give yourself, and it's so simple. We almost can't believe that it works, right? It's not necessarily easy, but it's simple. So just remember that as you're processing different things in your life, like you have this embodied approach to just getting back into the body, back into your breath, and it's there for you whenever you need it. Finish slow inhale through your nose. Anything you want to let go of, you can open your mouth and sigh it out with the exhale breath. We'll do that 2 more times. Breathe in through your nose. Open your mouth, sigh it all out. Last time, inhale. Just anything you want to let go of, just let it go. Do the exhale breath. You're welcome to stay in the supported back bend for as long as you'd like. When you do get out of it, be mindful, again, especially when you've been here for a while. So I'm just going to demonstrate now. I'm going to take this blanket off. The best way to do it if you have multiple pillows is one at a time. So I'm going to put my feet on the floor with my knees bent. I'm going to squeeze my butt, lift my hips, and remove one pillow from underneath my back. Then I'm going to gently lift my head and remove one pillow from under my head. And I'm going to lift my hips and remove the other pillow from underneath my back. And then because it feels good, I'm just going to keep that other pillow under my head. And you can stay in a nice flat back position as long as you want. If it feels good to move your body in any way or take a nap or just stay exactly as you are, you're welcome to do that. Again, so much of this class is just trusting that your body knows what it needs, if only we are receptive enough to hear that message, right? So we're just trusting ourselves. When you are ready to end your Yin Yoga practice, you will take your time pressing yourself up. We've been on the floor for a long time, so make sure that, especially if you stand up right away, you're standing up slowly. And then we did move our body quite a bit, so please make sure that you drink lots and lots of water throughout your evening. Have a wonderful Tuesday. It's great to see you all.